Oh,
We're in.
we're live. It's real. We're live. Everyone here.
Happening.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from planet Earth, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Great to have you all on the stream. I'm Matt Bailey. This is Julian White. Joining us as a special guest, and of course, Adam Ioannidis joining us virtually from not too far away, but afar. And it's time for Peat Plants II. This tasting is not your usual virtual or not your usual tasting kit at all. Normally, we get to sit through 5 or 6 drams and get to explore new releases or upcoming, or sometimes they're thematic. Sometimes they might be all sherried or all heresy or something like that. But tonight is one less dram, but we've made up for it certainly an age statement. And that means that we are tasting through 101 years of peat. Now, the first person I want to get straight away talk to you about this is Betty. Betty, this live stream is basically for you. Let's be real. Betty's our biggest peat head member that we know of. So, Betty, good to hear from you. And for those who don't know, Julian White, is I'm going to say what co-founder, co-owner, co-proprietor of Whiskey and Ailment at 270 Russell Street, one of the best partner bars, not just in Australia but in the world, for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. There they are. There's a photo. There's some more photos. You can see everything going on there. Oh, Shano, there's looking at a bottle very pensively.
And
there they are. There's Brooke and Jules. That photo was taken at the vaults in the tasting room, in the cask room, I should say, at the back of the venue where they hosted a tasting. That was like 2018, somewhere around there.
I think it might have even been. Yeah, 2018. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good times. And it's such a pleasure to have you on the stream.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we get to drink through 4 peated, I almost said Isla, but 4 peated whiskies from the Western Hebrides. The whole point around Peat Plants II is that it's focusing in on the different styles of peat from around the Western Hebrides. The Peat Plants I was more about the peat around Scotland, but this time around it's more about the peat around the Western Hebrides. So 3 whiskies from Isla and 1 whiskey from the Isle of Mull. And as every time we do a virtual or a tasting, we're going to do our best to not something's happened here. We're going to do our best to not mention the distillery names. We might end up saying them. We're going to do our best just to say codes, because that's one of the fun parts of everything. Are we still live? Are we still good? Everyone happy?
yeah, we're going.
Something happened on our screen. So, cool. We're going to taste 3 or 4 at just a pace that might be fast, might be slow. You take it however you want. You can pre-pour these if you have already. That's great. If you don't, do it like we're going to do and just taste them as we go. So we might just hack into whiskey number 1, which is the 53. Smoldering Delights. Jules, do the honors.
Oh,
please.
If I must.
So how many? I don't know how many tastings. Just a smidge for me. Just a smidge. Thank you. How many tastings? You get to start the tasting with a 35-year-old whiskey.
Very few.
Very few. I can count on one hand. Actually, it's less than one. You know, every time you go to a tasting, it's often said, in fact, one of our colleagues, Zach Stanley, often says this line of calling it the first whiskey in a lineup the death seat. Is that first? It's got a hard it's a hard spot to be in because no one's palates are warmed up. But we're gonna start straight into this one, and we're starting with a 35-year-old whiskey from Distillery 53. Very exciting indeed. Now I just want to touch on something. I want to talk about 53. Let's talk about 53. Now, you've seen quite a few of this distillery through the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty.
But a lot more since, I'd say, 2002 onwards. And I know the bar hasn't been around since 02, but like the reason I mentioned that year in particular is because that's when the first proper visibility of their single malt came onto market. And before 02, it was exclusively independent bottlers that really pioneered this spirit. And it's a whole conversation about the role of an independent bottler in really bringing single malts to the fore before often the distilleries that made them did. And I think this is a prime example of one of these distilleries is this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm reflecting on some of the earliest Kalilas that were impactful. 53s that were impactful and didn't take long.
We've already done it. We've already said it.
Didn't take long.
So it's okay.
That were really impactful, and they were by Gordon and MacPhail. Part of the Connoisseur's Choice range. And I feel like at the time, the finishes were only fresh. You know, they hadn't been, you know, extra maturations. They hadn't been, you know, in special whiz-bang casks. It may have been afforded the very rare opportunity to be finished in a sherry cask for 6 months. And that was, you know, extreme at the time. To be finishing something like a Caol Ila in all of its, you know, what would have been seen as, you know, pretty, you know, run-of-the-mill back then. Finished in a sherry cask. And I remember the things that really stuck out to us about those Gordon and MacPhail 53s was just how nutty they were. They had this hazelnut and peanut brittle character to them, which has sort of been like the holy grail of 53 for me, to be honest with you, when you get that peanut brittle character. And this one has, I think this one has a bit of it. A bit. It's not absolutely, you know, drenched in peanut brittle, but there's certainly a bit of it in there. And you know, talking about getting into a 35-year-old straight out of the gates as being the death seed, or, you know, as hard to be remembered actually is sort of the way that a lot of these tastings pan out is, you know, you get talking about other things, or you know, something else has a big wood finish on it that really captures your attention. But having a 35-year-old first is really, I think, actually a good opportunity for us to have some reflection and just look at ourselves again and go, what am I actually looking for out of this? Like, am I looking for stupendous peat? You know, am I looking for hot sand? Am I looking for those, you know, classic sweet notes that we get from 53? Or am I looking for something else? What would you be looking for? Would you be looking for the prior or something else?
I always get I'm always finding, and I've said to people before that out of any peated whiskey or almost any Scotch whiskey, the one I can always usually spot blind is Caol Ila. And other people say that about other distilleries. They'll say that about Ardbeg or Lagavulin or something. But but for me, I think I can always spot a 53, and I think that's a good thing because there's a consistency to their spirit. But what I always get out of it, I normally get like lemon yo-yos.
Yeah.
Like I almost like a yo-yo biscuit, like a yo-yo cream biscuit.
Made with custard powder.
That was made with custard powder.
Yes.
It has lemon drizzle or lemon zest inside the crust. Adam, what are you getting out of this?
I think Betty just summed it up beautifully. Smooth and salty. I got a lot of that really light, I'm going to say it, that light sort of like cheetah ball note on the nose, but almost like a little bit of vanilla bean ice cream. It as well. It's very different to the first time I had it. The first time I had it, it was just smoke, I think.
Right, yeah.
It's been sitting in my glass for about 20 minutes now, though.
And a bit of like barbecued lemon.
Yeah.
As well.
What's the proof on this one? I have to remind 51.4%. So that lovely mid-50s. It's dropped down a fair bit, but not after 35 years. It's quite incredible. And what I said before about O2 being a 12-year-old whiskey, what was that, Adam?
No, sorry, go on.
No, like what I said as being a 12-year-old whiskey a 2002, as a pivotal year. This was distilled in 1990. And so this would have been a 12-year-old whiskey ready to go when they were first releasing their 12-year-old single malt. To think about that as a sort of a crazy sort of sense of timeline here. We're in 2026 drinking something that was made in 1990. All of these whiskeys essentially are liquid art, if you think about it in a way. It's like their artworks from that era. And I love to think of old whiskey like that. I always think of old whiskeys, or even younger whiskeys, but like older whiskeys especially, I think of them as like a snapshot. Like what was happening in Islay in 1990? Probably not a whole lot. I mean, it's coming back online and the post-80s slump of Scotch, and
there would have been a heap of coal being burnt, I reckon. Lots of coal.
Lots of coal.
Yeah, lots of tenants being drank at the pub.
There's still lots of tenants being drank at the pub.
Well, true.
But the thing is with this, just like I love that snapshot of someone made this, a distiller made this in 1990, and especially when I'm talking to people about other spirit types, I always say, it takes like a day to make a gin, or it takes you 35 years to make this whiskey. And
it takes a generation.
It's a generation. Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
oh, that's one of those lovely quotes that I remember Sandy Hislop from Chivas Regal would say, that he's making whiskies now that he'll never see in his lifetime. And that's like crazy. And that's a lot of distillers' jobs, is they're making things that they'll never see in their lifetime. So like the distiller who made this could have been 70 years old when he was making this. He was like, well, he's not going to be a 105-year-old enjoying this. It's like, it's kind of like, it's a really sort of, unless he's, really of really good health and enjoying a dram at 105 or somewhere, whatever.
Half his life.
Half his life.
I recently did a Melbourne Food and Wine Festival event, actually 5 of the same event. Can you spot a 30-year-old Scotch?
Yeah.
And it led me down this trail of wonderful research. And I had a lot of time to reflect on, and a lot of, presentations to reflect on what this amount of time does to a whiskey. And I think, we've talked about this before, Matt, but Scotch whiskies really do have this wonderful virtue, which is that they can age for a long time because the climate is cold and wet.
Yeah.
Awful by most people's standards, but whiskey loves it. So these whiskeys can mature for a really long time. And what happens over that time is that, that decrease in alcohol strength, which has its virtues, and I'll talk about that more later, but like also it has that reductive character where things, evaporate and we get that headspace in the cask. And the amazing things that happen in there that we didn't really, notice before. It was just a byproduct that there was less left and it was lower alcohol. But now we're discovering that actually this is the life cycle that creates these whiskeys, is that lowering of alcohol. Because, hey, we know, a lot of us might know that the as the alcohol percentage drops, more of the soluble sugars in the timber become available. So, if your whiskey spends all this time, 35 years, it's going to come down to that lower strength and dissolve more of those soluble sugars with water. So it makes sense that it's naturally sweeter.
Yeah.
Because of the extra time.
You said headspace before just now. I was talking to a colleague recently about this in music, in recordings, and recordings that were using like Neumann analog microphones recorded straight to tape, kind of that sound and you hear these recordings where you can hear the band and then there's this gap above the band, almost like an old whiskey. Like you were just saying, there's a headspace. There's a certain, like you can hear that they're recording in a large studio and they're using lovely mics and lovely kick drum mic and a lovely guitar mic and pickup and everything. It's like compared to modern recordings, they're a bit more compressed and a bit more sort of tight and perfect. You could say the same about whiskey. Like these, you and I taste whiskeys all the time that are 4, 5, 6 years old that are singing, and they're fantastic whiskies, but they don't have headspace. They don't have that sort of that sense of grandeur about the top of the top notes in that. I think that's really interesting. Actually, here's a question. Here's a question for you. Go. This is for both of you. What do you think? I was posed this question recently. Do you think that we will have 30, 35-year-old whiskies in 30 years' time?
Yes,
we will.
I believe we will.
Okay.
Why would we not?
Well, because a lot of things have happened in making younger whiskies perform better through wood management usually, and a lot of the old whiskies that we have access to these days are because of we're just laying it down and see what happens. Now, but we've had a boom over the last sort of 10 years and 20 years. Do you think that 40-year-old or 50-year-old grain whiskies will exist in I don't know. It's
that part I agree with. Potentially not the 40 and 50-year-old grains, but I think the 30-year-old, 25-year-old single cask, single malts, or even just batch.
We've still got the patience for it. We've still got the patience that length of time.
I actually think that often, and this is what I talked about in this event as well, was that these things are often the products of austerity measures. Being let's fill the casks at higher strength so that they take up less space. Not so that they last longer. That happened to be the byproduct, but they filled it higher strength so that they didn't have to water it down and therefore take up, more barrels and more warehouse space. Yeah. And also they were filling into refill wood because they couldn't afford fancy new Sauterne barrels that had been heavily toasted and lightly charred. They couldn't afford that crap. So, essentially they were putting it in a bucket at high strength. Of course, nothing happened for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then someone's discovered it and been like, actually, this is right for a designer barrel.
I'd love to hear any more comments that come in on anyone that likes it. Adam, what are your thoughts? Do you think we'll see it? Or still think we'll see those kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think definitely, because I think there's always going to be a demand for it. If anything, I think now we'll see more of it in the next couple of decades. Whiskies of that age that are matured on purpose, as opposed to what Jules was saying, where it's just, it was a byproduct. Not to say that they weren't done on purpose then as well, but I think we'll see more with intention.
Yeah. I'm not convinced only because I hope you're both right. I just think there's a lot less. I don't know. Most of the time, it's just really good refill wood. We should move on to whiskey number 2. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time. So, your order tonight, folks, I should say, we're going 53, then 42, then 29, then 3. So, have you
pre-poured? No, you haven't pre-poured any of these.
We didn't pre-pour, but the bottles have been these bottles are near empty, so they've had a lot of oxidization already. Well, so we're moving on to the 42. Now, this is a very interesting distillery 42. I'm going to say the word Lecheg because that's not the name of the distillery. I'm also going to get away with saying that it doesn't matter how you say that word. It doesn't matter how you pronounce it because everyone at the distillery says it differently. Mm-hmm. And the third point I'll say about this is that this is a fascinating distillery in that they've been closed almost as long as they've been open. They have had probably the most up and down periods of closure. I was just brushing up on some history earlier today, and it was like they were closed. They closed in 1930, and then 1920 or something. They closed in 1920, and then reopened in 1972. And it's like, they just sat there for 50 years or something, 40 years or something, dormant. And the other little factor I like about this one is that it's this is a 19-year-old, so this just scrapes into that era as they started differentiating between their peated and unpeated runs more clearly. And these days, it's 6 months of peated, 6 months of unpeated run from this distillery.
And the literage of that amount that you were talking about that's peated in that time was so small.
Oh, tiny.
The literage was tiny.
We're talking, probably in the thousands of liters, not millions.
Absolutely.
So this is a bit of a rare treat to have a whiskey this old from this distillery that's also peated, because we've had a string of 42s through the society in the last few years. Some really lovely 24, 26, 28-year-old casks. They were unpeated, but they were delightful whiskies. But to have a peated 19-year-old from Lecheg, from distillery 42.
What's the theory behind the different sets of flowers on these?
I think it's just more sort of an indication of sort of flavor elements, really. It's like
sure.
Yeah, I think it's just sort of design and element of. I'd agree with almost the way they look. I mean, this one is a bit more sort of. It's certainly more ferny and more prickly than the 53 was.
Sure.
Isaac Raddy's got an interesting comment. 42 is a bit of a sleeper in his opinion, which I'm almost not inclined to agree with, because when we do get them, members jump on them, and I feel like a few years ago we had a few younger ones and they didn't last very long, and as you say, we've mostly been seeing those between 20 and 30-year-olds now.
My interpretation of a sleeper is one that doesn't look fancy and doesn't catch your attention and look hot, but underneath it's got a real mad engine and can take off like crazy. That's a sleeper.
Well, that's pretty much what our definition of a sleeper is as well.
It's a Touareg with the V10. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the Renault Clio 3.2 liter V6.
Oh no! Don't start me. Okay, don't start me. I'm French car obsessed. So this is you'll get me started on all sorts of Renaults and Citroens and okay, but yes, we all do. We deserve a 3.2. Okay, I'm not gonna go down that path. This is also look. I'm going to say this is a really. It's just talking product for a second. But it's a very affordable 19-year-old single cask. $3.49 retail, and that is crazy good value for a 19-year-old single cask in this collection. So it's had a full maturation. Let me just double check. Yeah, I'm right.
Refill.
Full maturation and refill hogshead. Yeah.
I've speaking about the Isle of Mull. It's one of the places you need to stop if you want to go to the island of Iona, which is where there's a monastery there, and it's an ancient monastery, the monastery of Iona. And my grandfather actually went there in the 1930s.
No kidding.
He went to the island of Iona in the 1930s on a pilgrimage after working at St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh as a priest, or as a minister, or whatever you call it, and went to the island of Iona. And he probably would have stopped at Mull, I guess, and probably seen this township of Tobermory. And I often wonder, what it would have been like when he went through there. He brought back one thing which we still have to this day in our family, which is a little Iona cross, and it's the same cross as the Kildalton cross on Isla.
Yeah.
And where does Brooke find herself this week? At what is known to be the first of these Celtic crosses on the Isle of Ireland, the Kildalton cross.
Yep.
So I feel a new tattoo coming on.
the moral of that, the resolution of that story was, I'm getting a new tattoo as a result. Yeah, this is good.
It's a cross.
Yeah.
It's a cross. Mum will agree. But also I think it's gonna, I'm gonna need a trip to Mull now.
Yeah, I think so. It's a good excuse.
To mull it over.
A good excuse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
smoking toffee syrup from Betty. Toffee syrup.
Yeah, how's the chat going? What's coming through? Absolutely smoking toffee syrup. Yeah, it's actually far dirtier on the palate than I was anticipating, which I quite like. Like, it's quite light and sweet and dancing on the nose, but it's got a lovely almost like mucky, peaty note on the palate, which
is in line with the last few aged
sort of like oily rags sort of business, mechanics shop sort of sticky rag character to it, which I like that about this distillery. Like, you don't often find it. I often find they're like more about sort of that like chicken salt, chicken stock, like meaty character, and this is not meaty at all. Which is
it's not meaty. Yeah,
uncharacteristic for 42. Wouldn't you say? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not meaty at all.
Like that, and a little bit of like tapenade as well about it. Liked that. Liked the tapenade.
That's very good. Tapenade, black olive tapenade.
Black olive tapenade.
Getting fancy. Yeah, dirty is the perfect word. Mucky
and super interesting.
Yeah.
Says Isaac. And by the way, if anyone is interested in purchasing these bottles before they're actually released, these QR codes are the only way to do it.
They're hidden currently in there.
Try your luck on Friday.
Yes, these go live this Friday. Is that right, Adam? They officially go live on Friday. These 4 in the Peat Plants II. You can taste them in this pack. You can get them now if you're tuning in, or you can taste them by the dram at Whiskey and Ailment at 270 Russell. Open every day from 4:00. Fantastic. Okay, I think we should taste our next whiskey.
We can do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Oh, please. So you got that in order? Is that which one you got there? Oh yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that's the one. So moving on to the 29 now. A bed of moss and smoke. This is very cool. So, got some. This one had an additional maturation.
I was about to say, check out the color on it.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah. It's a pretty substantial site, this one. This distillery, I should say. And increasingly uncommon to see really old expressions and or anything with an age statement at other distillery, to be fair. I think they still have a 10-year-old, and that's about it in the range of from the distillery. But it's another distillery that has been quite well supported by independent bottlers, and it's a QR code for the whole set, please. Says Immortal. It's a good call. Yeah, there's yeah, so I was going to say 20%. It's worth noting this is one of those distilleries where 20% of their output is still floor malted, and part of me wishes they just put out a yearly release of just a floor, like Benriach have done, like a few other distilleries have done, but just call it. I don't even need an age statement. Just give me a 48% the floor malt yearly release.
Yep.
I'd soak it up. I wouldn't even care if it was a bit shit. I'd be like, you know what? Not as good as the 10 or something like that. You'd hear people say, don't care. I'd still get it.
Ewan was a bit pissed when he was turning them all.
Yeah. Yeah. Ewan was a bit pissed that day. No, but they mix it in with the rest of their malt. They claim it creates a creosote-like, heavier style of spirit. And I'm not going to disagree.
What's the maturation on this?
So this one had a bit of extra time in a Shea STR Oloroso seasoned. So 22 years in ex-bourbon hogshead, and then 4 years into a first fill STR barrique, STR ex Oloroso barrique for the remainder of its maturation.
Question about these refills. You know, we were talking about the headspace before, and what that does for maturation. You know, in these whiskies. Over 4 years, you know, when they refill it, are they filling it right to the top, or are they leaving headspace? I have this, like, sometimes I try whiskeys that might be, you know, like 7 years, and they've been finished in something in that amount of time, and you know, these casks are absolutely going to be like re-racked to the top, and headspace is not going to be happening. I was reading that that the headspace actually and having that sort of oxidation going on is what actually stabilizes the color of a whiskey. So you might remember, Matt, we might have seen a couple of whiskeys at the awards, and we would have looked at it and been like, why is this orange? Why is this an odd color of, you know, an odd color of that? It doesn't look quite right. And it's often to do with, I think, that the cask has been full and then not had enough time to develop a little bit of reduction, a bit of headspace in there, and that oxidation stabilized the color.
We should have called tonight Headspace.
Headspace.
The theme for tonight is Headspace.
That'll be on your mental health plan.
A Headspace plan. This is Mark asked for a QR code for the whole set. Adam has delivered. There is a QR for the whole set. If you want to get ahead of anyone else on one of these, you're essentially jumping in on 101 years of peated whiskey in one set, which is very cool. Very hard to beat a 29, says Isaac, and especially an old one. I agree. And it's like I said, it's 29s are very hard to beat. And like, it's, you know, it's a rare treat. Let's put it that way. Having any 29 is a rare treat. Having an old 29 is especially a rare treat, and something that's where I think the STR barrique in this case has not overpowered the spirit.
No, absolutely
it's just integrated with it nicely. It's been in there long enough that it's picked up. It's not like a 1 year or 2 year finish; it's a 4 year additional maturation.
And exactly what I'm, you know, trying to get at is that the 4 years has been like the right amount of time. And you know, if they've done a char on it, like it's not too heavy, so it hasn't really let out or any. Too much stuff.
You're a bit of a 29 enthusiast, aren't you, Adam? You're a bit of a 29 super fan.
Not really, no.
Hold on.
No, but
you have been in the past. I remember you've picked up some before.
I've had 129, but I wouldn't call myself an enthusiast by any stretch. But this is an interesting one because it's just completely tastes like full flavored like barbecue chicken chips.
All right,
like straight away, like that's.
Have you ever got like those barbecue chicken chips where they've put too much flavoring in the packet?
Well, that's what I mean. It's just like not in a bad way, but it's like to me this is a this is a very heavily flavored dram, and I'm not getting a lot of diversity on it. But if you love your big sort of salty, sweet chicken flavors, or even like sort of not necessarily chicken, or no, mostly chicken actually, you'd probably like this one.
It's a bit of like a balsamic glaze for me on top. You know,
for the palate or the nose, do you reckon?
On the palate, actually, I get that like little like acidic twang at the start, which I like because it cuts all of the stickiness. It cuts all of the chewiness and just sort of gives you a little bit of perspective. It's not just one dimensional that way. It gives you a bit of a journey. Yeah, I like that bit of acid at the start.
I just
on the nose, I'm almost getting like a touch of that sort of blood and bones. I think. I like to put burnt lemon skin. I'd say charred a citrus sort of thing.
Phosphorus, say that word. War crime, you know. It's got a bit of everything in that glass.
It's agriculture is phosphorus.
Yeah, it is agricultural. That's right. I just did the cardinal sin. I've just done it, by the way. I did it before in case anyone spotted that on the live stream. I nosed an empty glass. Congratulations, and not just empty but clean. Oh, I'm pointing it the wrong way. There we go. Oh, that's my fourth glass.
If you've got any of the earlier drams left, it's always always recommend it. Go back to the first one.
Oh, the first one now is just oozing with lemon skin for me.
Yeah.
It's got so much citrus in that first one.
Lemon skin and like honey soy chicken drumsticks for me on the nose. There might be a theme. I don't know.
Yeah, is there any tasty that's not fried chicken adjacent?
Just wait for whiskey bar.
Like a lamb roast with lots of lemon rind on it, like those Greek lamb spits. Heaps of lemon on it. Yeah,
I do know, Jules. I do.
Yeah, our resident Greek does know this. Flavor of something burnt like lemon skin. Betty says, "Yeah, that's a good call."
Has anyone gone back to the 42?
No. Let's do it.
Bacon.
Yeah.
Like heavy bacon.
I was saying before, it wasn't meaty. I'll take that back.
It's the bacon's coming out now. It's been poured in the glass a little bit.
It's still not like full meaty. Like if you know what I mean. It doesn't smell robust, but the flavor is meaty now.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not chicken stock, but it has that sort of like Bovril sort of character about it. Bovril. It's a South Africa. Have you tried Bovril?
I've had Bovril. Yeah.
Bovril or Bonox?
I remember Bonox.
You remember Bonox?
Yeah.
Bonox.
Are you getting Bonox in one of these?
No, I'm getting a bit of Bovril on the 42.
I was gonna say I haven't I always associated the Bonox note with really sulfurous sherried whiskies. Like some those I'm talking sulfur casked sherry whiskies, I should say.
I've got to say it's like 1990 something since I had Bonox.
Yeah.
So
I encourage people to try Bonox every so often so they can remind themselves of all these tasting notes that people say when they say, reminds me of a glass of Bonox. Or it's like, what was the last time you had Bonox? For you, it was 96?
Something like that. Yeah, a long time ago. I don't even know where to buy it anymore.
I think you can just get it from supermarkets.
No.
Surely. I found out the other day that Activite no longer exists.
Activite, I remember that.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
That was like the better version of Milo. And I said it. Milo sucks. Activite was the king of flavored milk malt drinks.
That's why it's not here anymore.
It was just too hard to break it up, though. It was like little, you had to really sort of scrape
it. It looked like cat food in a tin. Yeah. Putting into your milk. It was great.
You're selling it.
It looked terrible, but it tasted so good.
It did. It was very good.
It was like malty and rich and got bought by. I even read up on the company history. Got bought by some food company that then killed it off. It's like
terrible.
It looks good and tastes good though.
Mm-hmm.
Boom!
There it is, right there.
It was a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah,
they're not named. I have to go by thumbnails. There we go.
Whoever named these files, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Delicious.
Delicioso. That's very good. So these I'll also just show something here for everyone. The 3 of these whiskeys fall into, in fact, the first one was smoky and fruity, and then first three we've had have all been the bold and peaty profile, which is one of the new 8 flavor profiles. It's this one here. So it on our new 8 profile wheel, it replaces the 12 flavor profiles. I hope everyone's starting to get used to these new profiles because they're coming about a bit now, and we're starting to see them come through, which has been great. We're going to have a mixture of flavor profiles for the next few months in Outturn as we sort of wind down the previous ones. But and I've already noticed that the old flavor profiles have been a bit popular because people think they're going, and they are going. But it's like, okay, but the new ones are coming through as well. So there you go.
It won't be the last 53.
No, it won't. It won't be. No.
I like them actually because the new ones.
Yeah.
Because like I have to say, from a purely like practical perspective, I find them easier to read when I'm in a dark bar. Easier to read and just a little bit more like general and easier to work with. Just because, yeah, sort of you're not sort of straddling the fence on, peat, for instance.
Yeah.
I find them more easy to use, easier to work with.
I like to hear that. That's good.
Well, the colors are brighter, and they actually say what the flavors are on the bottle. Another
that
new
was part of it as well. That I could just read it and go, yes, it's this one.
Thank you, Mark.
Well, yeah. Well, Isaac's already on the 3.358, so I think we should move in and see how we're going here. This has been when Zach first tried this on our team just a couple of weeks ago. He almost practically leapt out of his seat. He loved this one so much. We all loved it too, but he particularly took quite a liking to it. Just top that up a little. Yeah. Just put the rest in your glass.
All right.
This is very good.
So this one has also had an additional maturation. This is Distillery 3. Ooh, look at that. You can now see the label on camera because it's upside down, but we can see it. I get all that tobacco. I get that sort of heather honey. I get the old armchair vibe, very old cognac sort of energy. But like, it's not cognac, it is whiskey. But it was matured in ex-bourbon hogshead for 17 years and then an additional 4 years in a first fill ex-bodega PX barrique. The main difference between what's happened here?
Join us.
I'm getting the comment and the QR code up at once.
There we go. So the main thing that's happened, I want to talk about, you see sometimes it's written on some of the labels, it says like XPX cask, or you'll see ex bodega PX cask. The difference is a few thousand pounds. And the difference is also consistency and output. So people often ask, are bodega casks better than seasoned or standard casks? No, they're just different. And it's like saying, is older whiskey better than younger? No, they're just different. Bodega casks impart often a very desirable flavor, but are very inconsistent. And that's why you just like, it's such a risk. And so for Ewan to put a 17-year-old, I almost said the word Bemore then, for Ewan to put a 17-year-old 3 into a cask that was such a risk. But I want to tell, just give me a moment. I want to talk about one of my favorite 3 stories. It's real quick. Distillery 3 is really early in the society numbering structure. And it was, Pip had just bottled Glenfarclas with Distillery 1 and bottled Glenlivet with Distillery 2. Distillery 3, however, was a trip to Islay, and he was convinced to go there by a colleague of his. He said, you should get some of this Islay whiskey. So he goes over to Bemore Distillery, and he meets with the Morrison family and meets with all the distillers and everything at Bemore. And he said in the sort of the visitor center sort of or warehouse areas, just said, well, can I try some Bemore? Can I taste some of your whiskey? And they said, they gave him a glass of Black Bottle. They gave Pip a glass of Black Bottle, a blended whiskey that was a fairly common, cheap, sort of smoky blend that used Bemore as a primary component. And he said, no, I want to try whiskey like from the cask, as in like some of your casks. And they said, what for? We don't even taste that stuff. We just blend it. We just sell it to blenders. Like there's no reason for you to try this. And Pip said asking for Bemore as a single malt in 1983 was akin to walking into a biscuit factory today and asking to taste the sugar.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah,
I love that.
And he said that that's what it felt like. He said it's like walking into the Arnott's factory and saying, "Can I just try your raw, unrefined sugar, please?" And they'd be like, "No, we make biscuits. Try the biscuits." So we just got to really appreciate this. Is going back to a time when these distilleries were entirely treated as the production component of the end product, not the end product itself. And I think that's really fun to see. And he ended up buying a bunch of old threes, a bunch of old and young casks from them. He could take whatever he wanted from the warehouse at the time because they didn't. What would you like? First of all, they thought he was mad, and second of all, what are you going to do with it? No one drinks single malt. So he said he basically had 10 years of free reign with Bamor as a distillery because it was like we're just, and it took him 10 years to work out what he was actually doing, and they started tasting what he was doing and going, "Oh, he's onto something here." And so it was sort of took them a while to really come around to it. That's why so many single malts didn't. I mean, there wasn't a core range single malt when they started doing it. It was black bottle. It was blended whiskey. And I think it's kind of like it's just a moment of the times of saying like the sugar in the biscuit factory sort of analogy.
I like that. That's a good one.
Well, I mean, fast forward to now, and if you go into a distillery and ask for a single cask, the reaction is a lot different.
Oh yeah, it's join the queue.
Wildly.
Yeah. Or that's nice. So do we. It's their product now, and they sell it as a single malt. Or they sell it as a single cask, and yeah, the nose on this 3 is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's sort of got that blood and bones. It reminds me a lot of that, like the old Heather Ember we got in the previous Peat Plants.
Yeah, the four
on the nose, but the palate is just pineapple chunks exploding, like real smoked fruit salad.
Yeah,
singed with a blowtorch.
Yeah,
that's a very good whiskey.
Yeah, delicious.
And just being able to get we see old just from Distillery 3. 21-year-old whiskey from Distillery 3 is just such a rare treat.
Yeah, if this was an OB, you'd be in the
no
3,000-4,000.
Yeah, easy $3,000-$4,000 for something that we are able to offer up for $579, and it's a Bodega PX cask.
$579.
$579 is the retail on it.
What?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Jules, just scan the QR code. It's all yours.
Yeah, Jules, he got the QR.
Getting quick before Jules buys them all for the bar.
Yeah, far out.
So we don't have much of these to go around of this Peat Plants II set. We're very lucky that we've even got this in Australia, and we're really happy that we get to share this around with members. And we're really just lucky that we've got bars like Whiskey and Element that want to have these kind of sets on the bar and being going to showcase these to members in different ways, and having the team at Whiskey and Element behind it's just been so fantastic. And the flight that we've just had tonight, the 4 whiskeys we've just had, if you add them all up, it's 101 years of maturation, which is just unreal. It's so much fun to be able to do this kind of thing and taste it. I still think that, I mean, I know I do. I take it for granted. I really do. I take it for granted some of these things.
Oh, me too.
It's like, I like just tasting a 35-year-old Kalila. Cool. Like, no, that's unreal. Like, I remember getting excited by 12-year-old OB Kalila.
Yeah.
Like I do. You remember, getting into your whiskey journey, you're like, oh, this 12-year-old OB is lovely. This is way better than Johnny Walker. Or something like you just sort of make comparison points, and now you're like, no, yeah, 35-year-old Kalila. No, this is way cool.
Yes, desensitized sometimes comes to mind.
Yeah.
But I think, I think we really need to have moments like this where we sit down and remind each other, because it's too easy for the sample to slide across your desk and just have it wash over you and go, yeah, that'll fit here, that'll fit there. But there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah.
And those reflections are so important. And it's something that I really want to start bringing some, I've got mates from high school who I've known for 20, 25 plus years. And I'll take a bottle like one of these, I'll take them away camping on the rare opportunity that we get, and I'll tell them about it, but it's still not quite, still doesn't quite sink in. And they appreciate the flavors and they're doing their best to take their time with it and all that sort of stuff, but it just doesn't quite sink in. And I feel like we need to have these people come to forums like this, and not forums, but just these sort of casual settings where we do talk more about it and reflect on these special these special times that these whiskeys were made and what they were doing and what they weren't doing, more of the thing. Yeah. So it's like keep trying with your mates. You know, if you're giving
Yeah,
them
yeah,
sorts of
yeah.
things and you go, "It's totally lost on them." No, it's not. It's not. Just keep trying. Keep telling.
And you never know what it's going to be either. Like I on that comment about sort of rarity and age statement and things like that. It's like you don't need to open something crazy good with them for them to have that sort of like eye popping moment. In fact, I will recall my own journey with the SMWS. My first Society whiskey I tasted that blew my mind, and it was the first whiskey I ever tasted from Society, was a 125. It was actually it was a really young Glenmorangie.
That was in my welcome pack.
Yeah, oh, they were. God, we're just giving them away at that point back then. But it was a young one. And Adam, your first one was.
Well, I mean, the first one that sort of blew my mind, that was memorable, was Smoking Bananas in a Frankincense Den.
Oh yeah, that was a 68.
But I was also blessed in that the first time I had Society, which was after I got the job, but 4 weeks before I started, and I went to Whiskey and Element, and it was like, a week or 2 weeks after lockdowns had sort of ended, and Miranda served me 3 Society whiskies. One was called, I think, Death by Chocolate Cake. I think it was a Juicy Oak and Vanilla. I can't remember what the third was, the second was, but the third was the Harmonious's Barbershop Quartet Chichibu, which Miranda then just decided to charge to Matt's account, which is great.
Just add it to my tab at this point.
Yeah,
it was great.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, Matt's paying. Okay, I'll pull out the most expensive dram we have. That's great. That was good. Yep.
That's actually word for word, pretty much.
Yeah, Frankincense Den. I remember that. Actually, speaking of 68s, is that something can we say anything?
It's Blair Ethel 68. It's Blair Ethel.
No. But can we say the other thing?
Can
we make mention of it? Can we?
With our special guest here?
Yeah, with our special guest here. Can we make mention of something?
We can make mention that there might be something relating to our special guest coming in the next 4 or 5 months.
He's been in planning so long, he's already forgotten. It's great.
It might have to do with Distillery 68.
Yeah. It might have something to do with
it might be toasted oak and vanilla. I don't know. But
we don't know. Who knows, really?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. But there's a project in the works later this year where we're going to be collaborating with Whiskey and Element on something very special again. For those who have been following their journey and ours along with theirs for this many years will know that we've bottled some crazy whiskies with you guys. Triple Berry Lamington and Pirate's Breakfast Juice.
Breakfast Juice, one of our favorites.
Oh, that was great.
So cool.
And in fact, look behind us right now. The bandana.
It will live on.
Maple Mustard Pulled Pork was the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Maple Mustard Pulled Pork, the 39. That was gorgeous whiskey.
That sold out real quick.
That did, yeah. It vanished, yeah. I mean, it was a 17-year-old sherry.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Can we go to Fancy Hanks again?
Yeah. An excuse
that was great.
More barbecue.
I love that.
Add more barbecue. Yeah.
This may shock a lot of people, but I was just thinking about Fancy Hanks. So.
Oh, that may shock us that you were thinking about meat.
That may shock us. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Great.
Yes, there's a lot to look forward to this year.
Before. Okay, well, I appreciate everyone who tuned in tonight live. This pack did sell out, so there's probably a lot of people watching back at their leisure or whenever they feel. But we really do appreciate everyone tuning in live and having a lot of fun with us tonight in tasting these 4 from 101 Years of Peat Creators Collection, the Peat Plants Volume 2. Peat Plants Volume 1 was so popular that we imaginatively titled the second one 2. So we renamed it in Australia to 101 Years of Peat because
it does have a subtitle: Elemental Whiskies from Scotland's Western Isles.
There we go. Gorgeous.
But 101 Years of Peat sounds better.
It's been a real pleasure having everyone tuning in tonight with us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Adam, for everything, and thank you for setting this up, and thank you everyone who jumped in and had a chat with us. It's been great, and thank you especially Jules from Whiskey and Element.
Thank you.
If you're a member and you haven't visited Whiskey and Element, make the pilgrimage. I know we have guests from all over Australia who watch this, but make the pilgrimage to the bar. It's absolutely phenomenal. It doesn't matter what level. One of the things I love most about Whiskey and Element, I'm just going to pump your boots for a second here, but is just it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are in your whiskey journey. It's one of those things that the staff are really good at just making everyone feel really welcome. And you can be a real novice. You can say, I've just had a Glenfiddich 12 for the first time in my life. Or you can say that we can say that thing that we've said before of like, oh, another 35-year-old whiskey, you know. So, but yeah, like where you're at that taken for granted part of your career. But my point is, it's for everyone, and that's part of the fun of it. And there's a great range, and the ailment part's also quite good. Beers, we like beers. All right. The full set's available as a preview. You give it $18 off that, it feels like, from rough maths. So it would have been $29.18 if you add them all together, but it's $2,900 flat there. Otherwise, they are available individually from those codes you saw earlier tonight. They go live this Friday. And we're just like Peat Plants 1, we anticipate this will move quite quickly and vanish pretty fast. So until next time, thanks, team.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Adam, you can hit the button